Hi. Welcome to today's episode of Conversations with Karen and Kat. I'm Karen Scott Green,
And I'm Kat Hardrick.
and we are joined today by Martina Schmidt and Julie Miller. Martina is the founder of the She Served Initiative, and Julie is the vice president of the She Served Initiative. She sells by the seashore.
Right. Say that 5 times fast.
So Martina was born in Germany. She moved to the U.S. and served in the U.S. Armed Forces as a bioenvironmental engineering technician. She was deployed in Italy, Romania, and Iraq. And after 20 years of a military career, she retired as a master sergeant. Thank you for your service, both of you. In 2013, she picked up her camera and began her artistic endeavors as a photographer, opening up Martina Images. And her passion started her to raise awareness for women veterans and photography, led her to a sideline project for photographing women veterans and telling their stories to raise awareness that women are veterans too. And we are
Yes.
very well aware of that because our good friend Kat Hardrick is a veteran. In 2022, she decided to pursue this venture full time and she founded the She Served Initiative, which is a 501c3 nonprofit. Since forming She Served, she has photographed and profiled over 130 women veterans and published 6 magazine issues dedicated to their stories. And Julie, no slouch herself, served 21 years in the U.S. Air Force, also as an environmental engineering technician. And after leaving the military, she continued her military career path and now works as a health and safety coordinator at Proterra Incorporated. Julie is passionate about the veteran community. She has served as the first female commander at the American Legion Post in Greenville, South Carolina. Ladies, welcome. Thank you.
Yes.
All of
Yes.
that was a mouthful, but thank you for your passion. Thank you for serving, and thank you for bringing awareness to women veterans. So, Martina, I have to start with you. Please tell us, what is your why for photographing women, and why did you found She Served?
Yeah, so it was a little bit started out of a little bit of a frustration that, and Kat is probably aware of this too, as a woman veteran, is that whenever we were with another male, or I was with my husband, it was always automatically assumed that he was the veteran.
Veteran. Uh-huh.
Mhm.
He's a guy, and so he automatically was the veteran. So when I actually got out of the military, I kind of disconnected myself a little bit from the veteran community. I needed,
Mhm.
a little bit of a break, and but in the process also got lost a little bit. My
Mm.
identity was kind of gone because nobody really recognized me as a veteran. I didn't talk much about it, but if the subject of military came up, everybody automatically congratulated my husband and thanked him for his service. And so I ran my photography business, Martina's Images, and actually, I don't know, you probably know her, Kat, Amy Stevens from the Georgia Military Women. I met her at a
Yes.
show with Julie. Actually, she was there too, and she started talking about Georgia Military Women, the Facebook group. And she asked me if I was going to do some headshots, if I could do some headshots for the organization called Vetlanta.
Mm.
And so I was like, oh yeah, why not? I can do that. And
Mhm.
as soon as then I got redisconnected with the veteran community, I volunteered for it, and immediately all the women came, hey, can I help? Can I volunteer? We all spoke the same language, and it was like a coming home.
Mhm.
It's like, wow, we do know each other. We speak the same language. There's no guessing, and everybody was just right there. And
Mhm.
but there was still this, and everybody had the same story. We talked
Mhm.
about about being a woman veteran. And everybody was like, "Yep, when I'm with my husband, when I'm with my boyfriend, they immediately."
When we asked for the veterans discount, and they say, "What branch was your husband in?"
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah. So,
Right.
and so as a photographer, that I just kind of thought, well, what is it that I can do to shine some light on women veterans? So I just, as a sideline project, I just started photographing women veteran and just posted it on Facebook. Hey, this is what a veteran looks like, and just wrote a little bit of their story. Julie was one of my first ones. She's my best friend, so she had to, be the guinea pig. Yeah, she's actually right there.
Hold me out.
Yes. So, and the women, I photographed a lot of Georgia military women then. Amy Stevens was one of the first ones that I photographed, and they really liked it, and it really took. So then how it is in the veteran community, everybody started encouraging me, "Wow, you need to do this, form a nonprofit." And I'm like, that's a lot of work, the nonprofit thing. But I did. So I did the nonprofit. And from then on, it just kind of started rolling. I got more and more interest. People came to my studio, women veterans came to my studio, and, the stories, we refined it a little bit, wrote a little bit more about them. And so now it's, come to the point that different organizations, really in the country, nationwide, ask us to come out and photograph the women veterans and tell the story.
Yes.
To raise awareness that we're here.
That's
Kat, go ahead.
right. So we when was our retreat when we were there? It just happened a few months ago when we just did this shoot.
September.
And so September. And I'm so glad that y'all here. We've been talking for a minute, Martina, to try to connect, and just finally when we were able to see each other in September, and just like, okay, we got to hurry up and get you on the show. And this is great, being the week that this is November, which is Veterans Day. So November the 11th was Veterans Day. So this is great to put this out here because we need to highlight all of the contributions and sacrifices that women veterans have given to this country before women were even acknowledged in the military. And so doing this allows people to see that we are the service person. We're not just our husbands. We are the service person who worked hard and sacrificed our families. We were still mothers, we were still wives, and we still suited up to go to the call to serve and protect our freedoms in this nation. And I am so honored that you even took this charge in you both doing this, because when I went through my experience, I was crying, Karen, how you call me waterhead girl. I need a Kleenex. I need a Kleenex,
Yeah.
But they make you feel so good and remind you that not only are you a soldier, but you're still a woman.
Yes.
And they make you feel beautiful, and you have so much fun because the average person doesn't take photos, of themselves. And then here it is, they're able to take where you've been in the military and where you are now and bring that story out of you, so
yeah,
it's really really good.
It's powerful because we have the commonality and the sisterhood from the military, and we pull a lot out of each other. We get a lot from all the ladies as well.
Yeah. Let me tell you, the photo shoots themselves and meeting all the incredible veteran. I mentioned earlier that, I kind of disconnected from the veteran community because, I don't know. I was like in a different space that I didn't want to hear it. I didn't want to be reminded of everything. And what I get out of it myself, though, meeting all these absolutely incredible women veterans and what they have accomplished in the military, and what they're still accomplishing now, because the majority of the women that I photographed are actually still very active in
Okay.
in their community, volunteering, having nonprofits, contributing to the veteran community as a whole, not just the women veteran community, but all veterans. They still have a servant's heart. And, that's just something that I find, very inspiring myself. And I myself get a lot out of it too.
We do.
And I have to ask, Julie, how did she recruit you to come on board?
Well, that wasn't hard to do because I've been a fan of her photography since day one when she started that journey, going to school and all of that. We try to visit each other every couple months. I go her way, she comes my way, and in those early years, she didn't go anywhere without that camera. We had a lot of fun. So when it moved to this, and I was, and more involved and involved with the Legion, the American Legion, and all that, and saw Martina where she didn't want that yet. And then when she stepped into this and got this idea, I'm like, yes, ma'am, count me in. Let's go. Let's do it. I will be your camera assistant through this.
So are you two also part of the editorial board for the magazine?
Yes. So the way it's set up is that we have different volunteers that have different roles. So we have I'm do all of the photography really. Then we have bio writers that write the bio.
Okay.
And then we have somebody that reads them over. We have an editor that reads over the stories, make sure that they sound good. Then we take the bios onto the photo shoot, and then Julie goes and has the women veterans read over it, and then we make corrections, and then all that goes to our graphic designer, Kim, who then does an incredible job in putting the whole magazine together. So we are a group of volunteers. We do everything and to create the whole process of it from interview. So the women, when they participate in the She Served initiative, they fill out an intake form and with a bunch of questions. And, some of the questions are, what did you in the military? What's your most significant takeaway? What are you doing now to contribute to the community? Important is also, what is it that you want the public to know about women veterans? And what mentorship moment or what advice do you have for women who are transitioning into the civilian sector? And so that's what the whole article is about, that we write about them. So once they fill out this intake form, our bio writers, we have a bio writer, Cheryl Benetti. She is actually in out of Utah. So we're from all over the U.S. Okay. So they write the bio, and Angie Caskey of South Carolina is another one. So they write the bios. I do the photo shoot, we'll put it all together, and Kim is our graphic designer, and and we publish the She Served magazine.
So how do you ladies choose the veterans that you're going to feature in the magazine?
So there is really any veteran. It doesn't matter how long you served, if you've served a couple of months, or if you signed up, you had the intention of serving. Something may have come up, you're not serving any longer. It may be a year, it may be less than a year, it may be 30 years. Any woman veteran qualifies. So the way we are handling it now is that different organizations will sponsor us or host us to come out to photograph the women veterans. A typical example would be a veterans organization that they want to highlight their women veterans. They contact us, say, hey, we would like for you to come out to photograph and tell the stories of our women veterans. We work a lot with small other nonprofits such as Humble Warrior Wellness, Yoga and Wellness, and Georgia Military Women.
There's so many women veteran organizations. It's amazing.
Yes.
But every person we photograph is in the magazine.
Okay.
They're all in there.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
So
the magazine is virtual and print.
Correct.
And
yes.
how many times a year is it published?
It's we average about 4 magazines. Sometimes it's 5. So we've been actually a nonprofit since 2023, and we are on our 8th magazine.
Yeah. And
Wow.
each group gets their own issue. So
Yes.
it's not like we say every quarter we're going to put one out. It's based on the groups we photograph, and if we do a group organization, then they get their own issue of the magazine.
Yeah.
Otherwise, Martina puts one together that's a mix of people.
Yeah.
Okay. So for those who are listening and not watching, I have pulled up sheservedinitiative.org, sheservedinitiative.org. And when you go to the website, you can see the gallery, and you can also, of all the female veterans who have been featured in the magazine, and then you can also click on magazine, and you can see some past issues. The this one, this latest one being February, is that right?
No, if you scroll down, there is another one that we just did, Hope for Veterans. It's all the way in the bottom. Now, the one that you clicked on that's in February,
Mhm.
I want to highlight that one. That's probably, I can say this, it's our proudest issue.
That's what was my question was going to be. What's your proudest issue?
Yes. So
Yes.
this, who you see on the cover of that magazine is, yeah, I got it up too, Julie. Look, so this lady that you see there is Jerry Badger. She
Ah,
is a woman Air Force service pilot from
okay.
World War II.
Oh,
Wow.
awesome.
Yes, she is 102 years old, lives
No,
in
she's not.
Yeah.
Yes, she is.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Oh
And
my
Incredible.
goodness.
it
And
gives
don't
you
think there's a
goosebumps.
bunch of retouching. She looks good.
Mhm.
Yes.
She's
So
Yes.
yes,
She's beautiful.
she is a trip. She is just absolutely incredible. And really, when you think about it, she's a trailblazer for other women veterans. You know, she really paved the way for us. You know, she was women Air Force service pilots were not very well recognized at all. They actually didn't receive veteran status until what, 1970s, during the
Wow.
early 70s. Yes.
early 70s, and they were completely forgotten. When they served, they were actually, there was a lot of discrimination about women being pilots, and so her story is actually, her whole story is in there. And then we did an article on the women Air Force service pilots, or the WASPs, the famous WASPs. And you take through to her page, you will read her and immediately just absolutely fall in love with her. And she, along with Audrey Gable, who is also 100 years old and
Wow.
served as a slave in the Navy, they both were awarded the Living Legend awards from the Military Women's Memorial. I'm an ambassador for the Military Women's Memorial, and Julie is going to be an ambassador. And so that's the WASP story. And look at this, when you look at that's Jerry, actually, when she was young.
Oh, look at her. She was a looker, as they say.
I know,
They all were. I think they picked the pretty women. And I have to say, we always ask the veterans, what would you tell a woman today about being a female veteran? And I love Jerry's. When I asked Jerry what she would say, she said, shake the bushes and say, here I am, don't ignore me.
Yes.
Wow.
I love it.
Oh, that's right.
These photographs are beautiful.
Oh, thank you. Thank
They
you.
are absolutely beautiful. These are gorgeous. I'm going to stop sharing now. But for those of you who are interested, please go to sheservedinitiative.org.
Yes.
So that you can see this beautiful website and the magazine. And for those of you who are interested in hosting, because we got to make sure we take care of the details, right? So if you are interested in hosting a photo shoot, you can email Martina at Martina, Martina, at sheservedinitiative.org. Or you can also go to the website, sheservedinitiative.org. So those of you, again, veteran groups that are interested in hosting a photo shoot, please give Martina and her organization and send them an email, go to the website, shout them out so that you can have a photo shoot to get the women in your lives that you know who are female veterans, to get them featured in this beautiful magazine.
And you don't have to be
I'm
sorry, you don't have to be a women's group to
Okay.
invite us. It can be any veterans organization, the American Legions, VFWs, whatever. It doesn't have to be a woman's organization for us to. We would love for some of the men's groups to shout out their women and host us. That would be wonderful.
Because as a child who grew up, my father was a Korean veteran, and he was very much involved in our local VFW post. He and some other men founded VFW post in our neighborhood. But I remember for a long time there were no women who were members of the VFW. My mom was part of the ladies auxiliary,
Right.
and I was part of the Buddy Poppy girls, the junior girls auxiliary. I was a Buddy Poppy girl, and I was part of the junior girls auxiliary. I was Buddy Poppy 1979, Little Miss Buddy Poppy 1979. I think it was District 16 down in South Florida.
We need to
got an element.
But women didn't start joining that particular post until I would say maybe like the 90s.
Oh yeah,
really?
yeah.
Like early 90s, because during my childhood when I was growing up, there were no women who were members of the VFW. They were the lady auxiliaries, the wives of, but the women started joining, I would say, like late 80s, early 90s.
Okay.
And if you think about auxiliaries today, you don't see men in those auxiliaries who are spouses of women veterans. You typically just see the female spouses, and that's something, right? So
if you do want to join a legion, and we still get this today, if you get an application and you're a woman, they will a lot of times ask you if you would like to join the auxiliary as a woman veteran.
Really?
Yes.
They want you to be a part of both. Yeah.
Yes. We're like, no, we want to sit, we are veterans, we don't. And that hurts a lot of women. I still see it and hear
that would be a turn off. I can see that.
Turn off. Yeah, it's a turn off.
It is, but I really want to say that though, that it's never really intentional, right? So I think it's just a matter of educating the public and getting that automatic image out of their head. Like if you imagine a veteran, I think the image automatically goes to a male, right? And it's not intentional, and so this year we started the kind of the education portion of the She Served initiative, where we actually go out and have talks with different organizations where we educate about women veterans as well. And it's everybody is kind of like, wow, we never thought about that. That is unbelievable. So it's always a light bulb moment that goes off that they don't know what we're going through, or they may have done it and say, oh, I never realized. I had this one gentleman, he was at the Legion, and he did the same thing. He passed it off. He was an older guy thinking, well, you might be more comfortable with the women, with the auxiliary. And he said, I would never do that again.
So Martina, I think you're very kind to say they don't know. I'm just going to leave that at that you're very kind.
Okay.
I'm going to leave that at you're very kind to say that.
Go ahead, Julie.
I'll tell you, the first Legion meeting I went to, I'd been a member for years, but hadn't been going to the meetings. The first meeting I went to, several different men walked up to me and asked me if I was there with my father. Never occurred to them that I was there.
And so whether or not someone intentionally is sexist, it still was sexist, right?
Oh yeah. Oh, definitely.
Oh
And
yes, you're right on that. Yeah,
That's another story.
yeah,
Veterans Day, for Veterans Day, I was at Claremont. You know, Veterans Day, they do the big thing at Claremont Hospital, and I said, uh, "Happy Veterans Day," and the gentleman said, "Thank you." And then I just waited, and I said, "What about me?" He said, "Oh, you're a veteran?" Yes, I am. I'm
yeah,
the veteran too. So we don't get that, and nor do we wear hats like men do
Right.
that says veteran. Now we do, they're starting to make the women veterans and so on forth, but we don't wear hats. We don't wear all of this veteran attire. But it is an education piece to get individuals to start recognizing the contributions that women have contributed to our
yeah.
society, and some of just like my sister said, I'll just leave it there. Because some people just choose to not acknowledge it. But thank God that we have organizations like She Serve that will
Absolutely.
not let you forget, especially the sisters that you highlighted that's over 100 years old, that paved the way, World War II. Y'all
Right.
not going to forget about it. We have impacted this world. We ain't going
Yes,
nowhere.
That's
yes,
right.
I love it.
Women have been assisting or fighting directly in wars in this country since we've had wars, you
Right.
know.
mhm,
Harriet Tubman just posthumously um, appointed as a general, was given the status of
Yeah.
general just this week, you know, because she, during the Civil
Mhm.
War, went behind enemy lines. She was a spy. She also was a
Yep.
nurse. So women have been fighting since we've been fighting on this soil, you
yeah.
know. So I think that
Yeah. And
needs
dressing
to
like
always be
men to
acknowledged.
do it.
And we just
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah,
and,
exactly.
and we just need to keep that up. We need to keep the education up and continuously tell people and correct people that yes, we serve. We are in combat zones now. We have women that get injured, and we need to raise that awareness so a woman doesn't have to go to the VA and be called Mr. Schmidt, for example, or whatever.
Mm.
I mean,
Right.
it's still it's time that it stops. So my dream is always that if you have a male and a female standing together, I want the public to ask which one of you served automatically, and not
Mm.
Correct.
not
And not
assume,
just the men.
right, and not assume that the guy that's standing next to me is the veteran. Just ask which one of you served. So
That
Yeah.
That's it.
That's it. I
as
know
as
it's a
a
husband
non
out there. I'm sorry, Karen. It's a husband out there. When they say Happy Veterans Day to him, he said, "Oh, you need to say it to my wife because she outranked me. She's like a colonel." It's
My
funny. So
husband does that too.
yeah,
you outrank your husband?
Yes. Oh yeah.
uh,
yeah.
so
Well,
I have
my husband was never in the military, but
Oh
they
wow.
still think.
now did he follow you did he follow you around when you were being stationed different places?
No, this is my second husband. I
Gotcha.
met him after I was already out of the
Okay.
military.
Mine did though.
Yeah.
Yours followed you? Okay.
He was
So
the
was
Julie was
dependent
actually
husband.
Mr. Dad.
Yeah. Yeah.
so Julie, was your husband in the same branch?
Yes, he was in the Air Force. That's where we met. He
Okay.
stayed in for 6 years and got out, and then I stayed in
Ah,
till
And
retirement.
and he became Mr. Dad. I know
He
that's
was a
right.
dependent husband.
okay. All right. And so when you got your orders,
Yep.
he and the
He
family
packed up
followed.
and came along. Yes.
Okay. So
And that's the name of it. He was the dependent.
the
That's right.
Because most women are the dependents.
dependent.
So that's important to say too, that he was the
Yeah.
dependent. Get out of here. I know that's right.
And he'll correct somebody in a heartbeat if they don't acknowledge that I'm the veteran as
You're the
well.
veteran.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's right.
He stands up for us girls.
He
So
does.
That's right.
I have to ask the three of you. And I'll take it from Kat and then Julie and then Martina, you can answer. What advice would you give to a young woman who is just entering the military today? Kat, you go first.
You know a lot because of the first thing I would tell that soldier is you are enough. You stand your ground. because you deserve the space that you are in, and don't let anyone tell you otherwise. That's what I would say to a young lady going into the military, because people will try to diminish your existence in that space that's male dominant, and you've earned that space to be there and flourish. So stand tall and know that you have a sisterhood that can support you outside of the military, who've done this before, to help you along the way. I felt alone when I went in, and all of us girls had to stick together, but it was so male dominant. You know, they run faster than you, and you got to keep up with everything. And so you feel isolated, and you second guess, should I be here? No, you deserve to be there, and protect yourself. I will say that too.
Yeah.
Okay. And then Julie, what advice would you give?
Similar. I think it's still a great path for someone to join the military. And I would tell her, don't be afraid to speak up. I know I was on more than one occasion, but it is still very much a man's world, but there are better resources now and more of a sisterhood even in the military, I believe, than what we had. And their voice can be louder now than ever has been. And don't be afraid to use it. Put up with it.
I love that. And Martina, what would be your advice to a young lady?
Pretty much the same. It's really the biggest thing is stand your ground and be proud of what you're doing, and, create your path within the military. The biggest thing that I would tell, and, watch out for yourself and speak up if something happens, like Julie was saying, like Kat was saying, I came into the military in the 90s, and it was, pretty male dominated at the time. And, a lot of times we were afraid to report anything. Like military sexual trauma was a real thing. We were afraid to report that. There are better avenues now. It still happens in the military. It's really unfortunate. But I think as women, we need to stand up and stand our ground and be proud of what you're doing in the military, of everything that you accomplish in the military. It's worth the same as what a male does. Don't diminish your role because you feel it's not as important. So it's really the big thing. Stand your ground and be proud of what you're doing.
Okay. That's perfect. That's perfect. Kat, did you have any closing comments?
Oh man, I just thank everybody.
This is her baby.
This is, we love our veterans. We love our sheroes and heroes. And I just want to say to everybody, thank you so much, ladies, for being here, and that we need to protect one another. And that is supporting one another. That's how you show up. We show up by being that ear, joining these organizations. I'm a member of Georgia Military Women. It's just a Facebook page, but you have no idea how powerful that impacts. That's how you find out about She Served and other organizations. So plug in. If you are a veteran, you are transitioning, you feel alone, reach out to us. Reach out to She Served, and reach out to Conversations with Karen and Kat. Make sure my sister girl, she put up their email. I don't have my glasses on, but go to sheservedinitiative.org, sheservedinitiative.org, and please check them out and reach out, because it's a sisterhood and you are not alone. We are here to help navigate that space with you.
That's right.
Absolutely.
Perfect. Well said.
Perfectly said.
Yeah.
Thank you, ladies.
Thank you
for joining us.
Thank you for having us. We really appreciate it.
Yes. And to our listeners, as always, thank you for joining us on this episode of Conversations with Karen and Kat,
where we are impacting the world one conversation at a time.